This is a toy wind turbine that I bought in the gift shop at the Whiteley Wind Farm, the biggest wind farm in Europe, just south of Glasgow. Sadly, it doesn't work, which is perhaps symbolic of the entire mad dash for wind turbines that the SNP government is engaged in Scotland. They have set a target of trying to achieve 100% of electricity equivalent generation by 2020 from renewable energy. Now already 1,900 operational wind turbines have been built, littering the landscape of Scotland from end to end, both onshore and offshore. Eventually they are planning to have 5,000. They will be constructed on both sides of Loch Ness, on both sides of Loch Lomond, overlooking the championship golf courses at Turnberry, in Ayrshire, at St Andrews, overlooking the old course. They are visible from Stirling Castle. They are going to despoil some of the most spectacular landscape in the world. They're bringing misery to many people who have been forced to live close to them, from the flicker effect of the turbines and from the constant noise. Having giant industrial, up to 200 metre high steel towers next to your home or littering your landscape is not the best way to sell Scotland to attract tourists to come to our country. And of course, the cost of these industrial giants has rocketed. By the time we build 5,000 of these structures, it's reckoned it will cost about £9 billion. Now, those 5,000 wind turbines will be able to produce only about 2,500 megawatts of power. They produce, on average, they're built to produce 2 megawatts each, but they only operate at just over 25% capacity. That's what they call their load factor. Now, the load factor at 25% means that the 5,000 will produce about the same as a state-of-the-art modern nuclear power station, which we really need to replace Hunterston B on the Ayrshire coast or Torness in the Lothians. But Alex Salmond and the SNP will not entertain giving planning approval to any new nuclear power station. Now, just look at the contrast. For the £9 billion, that's probably more than you would pay for a new nuclear power plant, including full decommissioning costs and safe disposal of waste, and there isn't so much waste involved with the new state-of-the-art plants. They would operate for 80 years, extendable to 120 years. They operate at 90% efficiency, not the 25% efficiency of the wind turbines. And remember that after 15 to 20 years, the wind turbines are finished. So it is a no-brainer. Why are we going down this course? We're told it's to cut CO2 emissions. Well, Germany, where they have 15,000 wind turbines, more wind turbines than any other country in Europe, has not cut CO2 emissions by a single gram, because they have to rely on coal-fired power stations to provide electricity for when the wind isn't blowing, or indeed when it's blowing too hard and they have to switch the wind turbines off. That is what is going to happen in Scotland. And the problem is, the massive cost of these turbines involves huge subsidies, which doesn't come from the government. It is passed straight down the line to the consumer. And that's why we have seen our electricity bills rise by 63% since the year 2003. And that also is why now 900,000 Scottish people are in actual fuel poverty, spending more than 10% of their weekly income on fuel and having to make the difficult choice in the cold winter months of whether to have fuel or food. Now, it seems to me that there is a reason now for the SNP government to re-evaluate this incredibly ridiculous policy of 100% electricity equivalent from renewables by 2020. The mad dash for wind turbines really has to stop. We need to examine more about fuel efficiency. It's crazy in Scotland that we still have planning controls on listed buildings that mean that many buildings still have single glazing. In Scandinavia, you cannot put a building up without at least triple glazing for fuel efficiency reasons. We need to explore the shale gas phenomenon, which in America has reduced gas prices by 50% and really reinvigorated the American economy. We have massive shale gas reserves in Scotland, which we should be exploiting. We need to look at new nuclear technology like thorium, which can be so efficient, it can even burn former nuclear waste from the uranium plants of today. And we need to be looking at the next industrial revolution, which will be the hydrogen economy. Now, I have written a book called So Much Wind, The Myth of Green Energy, which explores all of these issues, which looks at the current SNP government strategy on renewable energy, looks at the whole energy complex across Britain and the EU. It's available from Berlin publishers in Edinburgh or from Amazon or any good bookshops. And I urge people to read this book, and they will understand then exactly the point that I'm making.